I had to make sure I wasn't dreaming when he said what he said. So, but I'm
here, of course, joined with Nick Botkins of the Botkins Show. Nick, what's going on, everybody? Here, welcome once again into the Monday night show of Buffoon and Botkins. My name is Tanner Dawson of the Whiskey Sports Podcast, Sports Buffoons, and Let's Talk Sports. Mr. Nick Botkins of the Botkins Show will be joining us here a little later this evening. But don't worry, we got, of course, the usual lineup coming to play. Jim Biringer will be joining us, Jonathan Grishman to wrap it all up here at the end. We'll be talking a little bit of everything, guys. So, obviously, final night of wild card. Dallas, Tampa's going at it currently. Scores 18-0. Brent Maher missed three extras on this one. Unbelievable. So with that being the case, obviously it looks kind of a weird score for 3 touchdowns, but that's what happens when you're a kicker, apparently. So, but excited to talk a little bit more about wildcard stuff here in this hour as we go about it. So, but first, let's bring him in, Jim Biringer. Jim, what's up, dude?
Yo, what's going on, Tanner? How we doing?
I'm good. It's just crazy watching this Dallas game and, missing extra points like it's out of style or something.
Yeah, this guy's not going to be on the plane ride home. I'm dead serious.
Herm Edwards treatment right there.
He's not even, don't even pack his bag. Tell him to take another plane ride home because he's not going to be on the Dallas team plane. Even if they win this game, he's not playing in the playoff game next week.
No, they're going to be out there looking around, seeing what they can get. I don't know exactly what they're going to get, but it has to be something better than this showing right now.
You can't miss 3 extra points in a big game like this. I'm sorry. I'll give you one because they've moved it back. I'll give you one. Everybody misses one of those, but you can't miss 3.
Not 3 back to back.
No.
It's such a crucial game, even worse the Bucks. It's such a crucial moment against a team you lost to in week 1. It's something that you have to go out and win on this one.
Yeah, and you can't give Brady 3 points. Think about it. It's 3 extra points that he doesn't need to be on like that. You're taking off the scoreboard. 21-0 is a lot different than 18-0. So
yeah,
it's very difficult right now. Look, obviously it's Tom Brady. Their Dallas defense is playing well right now, but again, it's Tom Brady. Do you bet against this guy?
Right. We've seen him come back in second halves plenty of times, and he's done it this season too. Don't forget that New Orleans Saints game when, 2.5 minutes left in the game, 16-3 or whatever, 5 minutes, whatever, but still came back after not moving the ball at all, came back and they won the game. So, 18-0 is still a very low score to be worried about.
Yeah, exactly. This Dallas team's playing really good. Dak's moving the ball really well tonight. They're getting a lot of people involved, but again, there's still a second half to play against one of the best ever to do it. So until the final buzzer sounds, Tom Brady is still alive in this thing.
Exactly. At this point, it's still alive. Now they're marching down the field. 6 seconds left. No timeouts though. So if they don't get the corner shot, it's gonna be tough to make it up here.
Yeah, exactly. That's just it. They gotta get some yards here for a potential field goal, but now it looks like they're gonna take a shot down at the end zone because they just don't have time to get the receiver out of bounds with 4 seconds left. I think they're just gonna try to
see what they can get.
Yeah, see what they can get here because there's no way they can get in field goal range.
Might as well. We got CK Landis. What's up, CK? Appreciate you always. He says Pollard needs to stay on the field. He's great with Dak. He is great with Dak. I don't get, once again, Dallas play calling. I don't get it. Why they take him out so much, but that's just kind of how things roll there.
Yeah, Zeke is the main guy there, so they're going to feature him. But I like that 2-headed monster they got there of Pollard and Zeke. I think they're doing really well. And I think finally, they've come to the realization that they can actually run the football and they don't have to pass it 50 times anymore.
All right. So as this thing goes here, it goes into halftime here. We'll come back to the little NFL talk here once Nick hops on. I want to touch base with you on a little hockey stuff here going to play. I've
All
been
right.
I've been betting the last week, right, of
Yeah.
hockey. Friday and Saturday, I went undefeated
There you go.
on my picks, right? 4 for 4 or 3 for
Oh.
3 each day. Good parlays to win. One team that kind of struck me that I'll tell you, one team I find starting to fall a little bit, and one team I find kind of rising just over the last week. The Edmonton Oilers are my big rise right now. Huge win against Vegas on Saturday night, and then the huge blowout again on Friday. So back to back games. Having that Vegas game kind of worried me of getting that money line against Vegas, and they ended up pulling it out here despite Vegas trying to fight back at the end. I love what I'm seeing from Edmonton as far as shots going into play. Also, the execution of it. What it was 4-3, I think Saturday,
Yep.
7-1, 7-2,
7-2 on Friday. Yep.
Friday, right? High scoring games, and this is what Edmonton needs, I think, to get in the playoff. And currently, I mean, granted, playoffs still a ways away, but currently looking at the playoff standings, they're right. I mean, they're the last one in it for this team. Do you think the Edmonton team can continue?
Look, they're gonna need some help. No doubt. Everybody knows Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl can carry that offense. They can do it every night. I mean, McDavid, what he did on his birthday on Friday against San Jose. San Jose is not a great team. And the Oilers have been able to do that against weaker competition this year, but everybody wanted to see what they could do against a team like Vegas because lately they've come up short against the better competition. But there you go. McDavid and Draisaitl do their thing. They get solid goaltending. It's a 4-3 hockey game, but their goaltending of, Jack Campbell, Stuart Skinner are able to make a big save when they need to. And not to mention, maybe within the next week or so, you're going to get Evander Kane back from that ugly injury that he had at the beginning of the year. So that's only going to help their offense. The problem is none of these guys actually play defense. I mean, they play defense, but they're not defensemen. And that's what the Edmonton Oilers really need to be a successful team come playoff time, is they need to shore up that left side. And, they've been linked to a bunch of guys. Obviously, Joel Edmondson is one guy. Matt Dumba is another guy. Can they get something worked out? But again, like a lot of teams right now, the salary cap is just such a problem. But I think if Edmonton could shore up their defense, because let's be honest, while Duncan Keith was older, he 8 minutes. He was a veteran guy back there. He knew what to do with the puck, the right thing. I think if they can get another veteran defenseman, especially on that left side, Edmonton will be okay. Again, they got to start stringing wins together. You said it, second wild card spot in the West. There is some separation there, but they should be able to get more separation as the season goes on. I think if they can get some more quality goaltending and get some goal scoring and play better defense, I think they'll be a lot better off.
Right. And so the one team I'm seeing, I mean, they're not awful this month by any means. They're 3-3 so far, but the Las Vegas, I know they're up there, one of the top teams in the league, but I mean, Dallas today was a big loss, 4-0 loss, given a day break. It's not like it was back to back. And coming up here, if you look at their schedule coming up, Washington on Saturday, New Jersey next Tuesday, and then Friday and Saturday next week, they have both New York teams back to back. Is this Vegas team? Are we starting to see a little bit of a decline, or does it matter within their standings? Because Seattle is right there as well, and I mean they've been a very inconsistent team. I feel also the last couple months, like they are one of the highest scoring ones, but they also can't seem to get it all at once.
Yeah, I mean, look, Vegas, I think they've come back to earth a bit since the beginning of the season. Yeah. They had the injuries, Jack Eichel, they haven't really had a fully healthy team. And you can see that Logan Thompson really hasn't had a full workload. He came in last year, played the tail end of the season, but you're playing 82 games now. Now, obviously the goalies don't play 82 games, but they split. They can go 40 plus, and maybe he's not used to that workload. Defensively, I think there's too many breakdowns in that team. right now. Just the little things that they have to play better. Now, everybody in the league goes through ebbs and flows. Vegas is still in first place, but Seattle's marching, LA's right there. And that Pacific Division is always tough. You have Edmonton, Calgary right there in the first wild card spot. So right now, if the playoffs started today in the West, you look at 5 teams in the Pacific Division. And you know what? Vegas right now is one of those teams that you kind of want to play because they're not playing great hockey. I think they could play better, especially at home. That used to be, that fortress used to be a place that teams didn't want to go visit. The crowd was loud. They jump on you right away. And I think that's what they have to get back to. Again, to me, I think they lost a lot with what made them so special in their first year. Go out and get high priced talent instead of relying on those misfit guys. We'll see. I think, obviously Alex Pietrangelo had a personal issue. Hopefully all the best to him. Again, the goaltending for them. Let's see what they can do. But again, I bring it up. I might sound like a broken record tonight, but the salary cap is going to be a big issue for a lot of teams to make moves at the deadline because there's just not a lot of it.
Not a lot of it. Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, Vegas should have a rebound game on Thursday against Detroit. But I mean, outside of, I guess, Arizona is the other one on Sunday on the back-to-back with Washington, Arizona. Outside of that, I feel like the rest of this month, these next few games here, I mean, it could be tough for them to make that push, especially with the, after tonight's big struggle or today's big struggle. Sorry, it's, the holidays. So they played during the day this time.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, take any credit away from Dallas too. They got a really good team, especially in the Central. Jake Ottinger playing really well. 27 save shutout. They're getting production from Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin. The list goes on of guys there that have been scoring, and they're in different roles now for Dallas. So it's not like they're relying on them all the time. When you have a guy like Rupe Hintz, you have Jason Robertson, Joe Pavelski, other guys on offense, and obviously, you have Miro Heiskanen on defense. And when you have a kid like Jake Ottinger in between the pipes, there's a recipe for success for this Dallas team. So
yeah.
Big win for Dallas going into Vegas. A lot of soul searching right now for Vegas for their next game.
Right. And I'm looking at here at the Central too. Winnipeg's right there tied up with Dallas in points, at least 59 piece. So, well, do you think Winnipeg has a chance to maybe stay overtaking Dallas and end up pulling this division to win out?
I mean, look, they're right there right now. They're sitting in first place right now in the Central Division here. Connor Hellebuck's playing excellent goaltender. He's turned back the clocks this year. Looked like a Vezina Trophy that he is. Mark Scheifele scoring goals. Cole Perfetti, one of their rookie guys, is stepping up. Blake Wheeler's playing well. The list goes on of guys in front, especially a guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois, who has made it known he doesn't want to leave Winnipeg, wants to leave Winnipeg, wants to go back to Montreal to play. But again, he's having a career season. So this Jets team is definitely for real. Josh Morrissey on the back end should be looking at Norris for best defenseman in the league. So I like what Rick Bowness has done with this group.
What's up, Nick?
What up, y'all? Sorry for
up?
Crashing the party a little late, but better late than never, as I was always told.
It's always good. That's how you roll, man.
So we're just talking a little hockey here, just kind of going, up and down a little bit here. Lots of interesting matchups I've had this past week on my betting side of things and looking it up, just the matchups, the difference in things here. Jim, I was going to ask you too. I mean, trade deadline, like you mentioned, is coming up here. Do you see any big moves for any of these teams on the borderline, or do you think because of the salary cap the way it is, it's probably going to be a dead trade deadline?
There's definitely teams that want to make moves.
Okay.
Talking with some people, they definitely want to make moves. There's buyers out there, but can they get the cap space to make it happen? And I think, the Rangers are going to be a team that you're going to want to look at. What does Washington do? Does Pittsburgh stay ahead of stuff? Again, I've mentioned Edmonton earlier, looking on defense.
Yep.
What are some of the sellers going to do? Does Vancouver offload their players that Bo Horvat did, Brock Bessers? Who's going to pick those guys up? Again, Arizona, they got their defenseman, Jacob Chikrin, who's, his name's been attached pretty much everywhere. Edmonton, you can go to Ottawa, guys like that. are the Devils going to be active, or they like to stay where there is? Again, there's teams that have cap space, but do those players want to go to those, teams down at the exactly?
Are
more
the
decisions.
Blackhawks going to get rid of and trade their aging stars, like those guys that have been there, over a decade, that, were that prominent last run for the Blackhawks, Taves and them guys? Are they going to trade those guys? Are they on their way out of Chicago?
I personally think both guys are out of there. I mean, Taves came out and said, as much as he would like to be a lifelong Chicago Blackhawk, he understands it's a business. Again, it's going to depend on where they want to go. John Klingberg and Anaheim submitted his 10-team trade list to the Ducks, so we're going to find out where he goes. So he's going to be in play. Like I said, Matt Dubma looks like he's going to be in play for the Minnesota Wild as well. The problem is for the Wild is they're right in it. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Are they able to keep him and then maybe trade him after their playoff run, before the draft, before free agency? Or do they just bite the bullet and make the move to get better now? But again, Bill Guerin has come out and said, I'm not going to make a move just to make a move just because he's a UFA. I still believe this team can win and he could be a part of it. So, there's so many things out there that Philadelphia, what are they going to do with Kevin Hayes? Does Ivan Provorov move on as well in Philly? Just so many options. But again, that salary cap for a lot of teams is coming into play right now because, it's just stuck at $83.5 million. It only went up $1 million right now. And there's just teams that want to make moves, but just can't, like a team like Washington, but they're up against it. Obviously they have some space now because John Carlson was hurt, but when he comes back, they're going to have to make moves to get him back on the roster. So there's a lot of juggling and cap gymnastics that goes on right now in the National Hockey League. And it's a shame because if you didn't have this system, I believe we'd see action like we've seen in like the NBA where guys are just moving everywhere.
That's what the NBA wants, right? Because that's why they continue to keep on top of the storylines, because they get, involvement, that those storylines near the trade deadline, where we don't really see that in any other sport. Other baseball kind of has it with the hot stove, but other than those two sports, we don't really have that quite like deadline, those hot, trade rumors like that, I feel like.
I mean, the National Hockey League has those trade rumors. It's just executing it because you're in a cap system. Where money goes, usually, I think you're gonna, if there are moves to be made this year, they're gonna see a third team involved. So you might see more draft picks moved. Like for instance, if a team like wants to get Kane, who's got cap space that wants to use their cap space to help out a team that to trade for Patrick Kane, where are we gonna put some of his money? Arizona's open to it, but you're going to have to give them draft picks. What's Toronto going to do? Does Boston? I mean, Boston's up against it too. I think they like their team. I don't think they're going to make any moves. But again, sometimes we don't get the big deadline move. We get it before the deadline so the player can adjust, because by the time the deadline rolls around, there's only a handful of weeks left in the season. And that's not a lot of really time to get acclimated to your new setting.
I mean, can Boston get any better?
I don't think they can get any better. I really don't.
There's no way, right?
Unless they bring in somebody that I don't know about, this team cannot get any better than they are right now.
They got 72 points and a 72 differential, largest by far in the league. I don't know how you get better at that point.
You don't get better. Okay, well, this is how we're going to get better. We're going to eventually sign David Pastrnak to his 8-year contract extension worth $11 million. That's how you get better.
That's how you get better. I love it. A little hockey talk there. Nick, we saved the NFL talk to make sure that
good. I was I didn't know. I didn't want to start asking giant questions.
Don't worry. We just discussed a little of this Cowboys Bucks at the beginning, but not much. Like, I want to make sure that you were on for this NFL discussion here. So.
Oh, good. So I didn't miss anything important.
No, not at all.
No. We talked hockey. We made sure we saved the NFL for you.
That's right.
Hey, thanks, my guys. You know what I'm saying?
So go ahead and kick it off, Nick.
Hey, let's jump into it, Jim. Big win. Giants get the W. First, playoff win since 2016?
2011, they said.
2011. Okay,
yeah.
So, man, almost over a decade ago. It seems, So how are you feeling with going into Philadelphia? Third time's the charm here for the Giants.
Absolutely, third time's the charm going down the turnpike into Philly. Look, throw out the last game because they didn't play nobody. The start, yeah, they got, it was a close game. What was it, 23, whatever the final score was? But it's second string guys. Daniel Jones looked confident in the pocket. Excuse me. Saquon Barkley looked like the guy he was at Penn State and his rookie season. This defense has stepped up big time, and Brian Daboll has got this team playing on a different level. I mean, Jones made smart decisions with the football. Big goose egg on the turnover
I thought
column.
that was the best Daniel Jones we've ever seen.
I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Smart reads, knew when to take it, knew when to run, perfect throws, just didn't make the stupid decision with the football. Even when you that sack at the end that killed some time. Yeah, it was a sack, big deal. He didn't turn the ball over. He didn't stop the clock. The clock kept running. Kayvon Thibodeau had a nice game. The Giants were able to answer Minnesota shot for shot because they took advantage of that defense. You know what? They have confidence going into this game against Philly because you know what? The Giants can hang with anybody right now. They believe in themselves. And, we're going to see what this Philly team is made of because if Jalen Hurts isn't 100%, the Giants have a shot.
To me, this Giant team reminds me of not the first Giant team that beat the Patriots, but the second Giant team that beat the Patriots. Like, they're just like, they don't have like these big stars, right? Like outside of Saquon Barkley, like who they don't have receivers. That team did Mario Manningham was that team's best receiver. So like they didn't really have great receivers either. This team doesn't have great receivers. They got a good defense. That team had a good defense, probably a better defensive line that team had. But this just kind of reminds me of that team where it's like, here's this goofy looking quarterback that, nobody expects to win anything. And he somehow plays his best football in the postseason. That's what Eli Manning always did. And that's what, if that's what Daniel Jones is going to put out every playoff run, then by God, the Giants are for real, folks.
Yeah, they really are. It's remarkable what they did yesterday. I was very, very impressed. Especially, the connections they made, the reads, getting Barkley involved in different ways. And then you have the two halfbacks in there. Breida gets the hard yards, and then Barkley can do his thing on the outside with the speed. And nobody's catching that guy when he gets into the second level.
And that's what that Giants team had too. Remember, they had Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw, like a nice little 1-2 punch, just like this Giants team. Very similar type teams.
Yeah, 100%. Very,
the
very
the only difference is they got a quarterback that can run.
Yeah, Eli ain't running. That's what
Eli doesn't know how to run. Yeah, Eli doesn't know how to run. But look, this Giants team, you be confident. Going into Minnesota, really wasn't sure what to expect, but you thought they could have a shot to knock them off, and they still have that same shot against Philadelphia. Why not go down there and make some noise? This Giants team, when they get hot, you never know what they can do. And, New York pulls up a big win again. At least the controversy of the night ends because they won the game on a defensive stand. Because if that game goes any longer, we're talking about that god-awful roughing the passer penalty.
Classic NFL refs.
Or the Slayton drop. The Slayton drop.
Yeah.
He's probably, he was probably praying the defense stops him because that's a game winner right there. He catches that ball. He has nobody around him. He's gone and game over.
Well, he just has to go to the ground. That's it. You get the first down and go to the ground. The game's over.
Yeah.
You don't even need a touchdown there. You just go to the ground and that's it. But I liked what Daboll did on the sideline when a guy was hanging his head. He's like, keep your head up. We're going to get you. Like, he went over to him and made sure that, hey, we're gonna get this for you. And then Dexter Lawrence. I agree with the announcers. Like, what is this guy supposed to do? Sit on him? Like,
it was
it's
bad.
like, I mean, it's a textbook tackle, and we're calling roughing the passer. But again, it's secondary for the fact that the Giants get a big defensive stand. They take away Kirk Cousins' options on that 4th down play, and he has to check it down, and they're right there for the tackle.
I want to talk about that because I don't know who to blame.
Yeah.
Is that Kirk Cousins' fault, or is that KOC's fault for calling a play where a guy is 4 yards short of the 1st down on 4th down? To me, you got to call a play where everybody's past the marker. Or is that Kurt's fault for throwing to Cousins, to Hawk, who was pretty
Hawkinson,
who was pretty much, Hawk was pretty much covered there, and knowing that he's 5 yards short. Like, I mean, I don't know who to blame. So, like, whose fault is that for that 4th down play? Who do you guys – is that Hawkinson's fault too for not running to the marker and then going? Like, who do you guys putting the blame on?
I think the play call on 4th down with the game on the line, you're throwing one guy's going deep, one guy's short, and the next guy, your third check down guy's at the sticks. Like you have to throw the ball at the sticks if you want to get a 1st down. I know Hawkinson was killing the Giants all day, but he was covered. Like the guy there was no way he was getting that 1st down.
No, I mean, he was 4 yards short, and the guy was already hugging him as soon as he caught the ball. Like, I mean, he killed the ball game long. So I think they had to know, like, hey, we're not going to let this guy beat us because he's been beating us all day. Like, I just don't know whose fault, who's to blame on that.
I'm blaming Kirk. I've seen him many times that he doesn't know where the 1st down marker is. He faced the Chiefs last year, and for a game continuing drive, on the line. Essentially, all he had to do was get 1 more yard, maybe take a hit because he ran the ball, and he slid 3 yards short of the 1st down on 4th down. I don't think he knows where the 1st down markers are half the time. So I'm on the Kirk train of the blame there. So,
I mean, I don't understand why you would check it down there. I think you got to go to your. I know Jefferson was covered after that first series. Like the Giants.
Jefferson's always open. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, the
Except
Giants did
on Jair Island, baby.
I mean, I thought the Giants did a pretty good job of covering them after that first series, but still, you got to go to one of your best weapons. If with the game on the line.
Look what he did at the Bills game, right? Like, throw it his way. Guess what? Give him the best opportunity and see what your best player can do. He already proved it to you early this season.
They were talking this morning on the Giants, too. Is like, in years past, a lot they would draft guys and those guys would leave. They said that era has ended. They expect them to give Danny Dimes an extension, Saquon an extension, and shore up some of these defensive guys that are all about to be free agent. They pretty much going to bring the band back together, you think?
Yeah, I mean, outside of maybe trying to get rid of that Galladay contract, I think they're bringing everybody back. There's no reason not to bring Daniel Jones back now, and there's no reason not to bring Saquon Barkley.
You got to bring Saquon back.
You got to bring them back.
Yeah.
You made it to the next, like the second round of the playoffs. Like that should be an automatic. Like these are your guys, right?
But it was funny. I was reading something. So I don't know. Somebody was being stupid. Oh, I know who it was. It was Colin Cowherd. He's like, yeah, exactly. Imagine that. He's like, if Dable loses, it's it might be his job. I'm like, wait a minute. He just got here and he took the team to the playoffs. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this team plays for Dable. That's the difference. Like, and I think it was it Orlovsky or Ryan this morning, Ryan Clark? One of them mentioned that look at the offensive coordinator for the Giants now, and look who's the offensive coordinator in the Patriots. Mac Jones took a step back with Joe Judge. Judge is an offensive play caller in this league. Sorry.
Well, I mean, what's his name? Matt Patricia's also calling plays. There's like 8 different offensive play callers in New England. So
it's your turn that game.
It's
my turn.
The Giants OC is now being Mike Kafka is now being reported. He's getting interview jobs. And Wink Martindale is also getting interview jobs for head coaching. Do you think either one of them getting a job, and how worried are you about, that's kind of a staff that's kind of come together there?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, you know, with performances like this, obviously they're going to get coaching jobs. I hope I hope they stay, but I understand they want to take jobs. There's only so many head coaching jobs, but I think they like being on that staff. And I think everybody's rallied around, you know, Brian Daboll as a head coach. So I think the staff is really good.
Did he step out right there? I think he stepped out.
He got it in.
No, I meant before he caught the ball.
No, he was.
Was he in there? It looked like it looked like he was.
Right.
Looked
Pop,
like his
pop. Nope. Man.
Oh, he stepped out.
Yeah,
he stepped out twice. He stepped out twice. That's not a touchdown.
The two there were bothered. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, there. Well, maybe he didn't. No.
Did he? I couldn't tell if he stepped out or not. I was trying to see.
The one replay looks like it did, but then this replay I just saw didn't look like it. Maybe he just got.
It's close.
I thought it was three. It looked like it was like 3 steps before the ball got there.
But you can't go out of bounds to be the first person to touch the ball.
No, you can't.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You can't. No.
Yeah. So that's what I was asking if he stepped out, but not before. I knew he was in bounds when he caught the ball, but before he caught the ball.
That was close. It was close, but I mean, look.
Yeah, no, there's no way. He had to have stepped out.
Yeah,
it's on. My feed's on a commercial break, so I don't. They call that. They're reviewing it, right? They got to review.
Yeah, they're reviewing it. I think he stepped out.
It looked like he did from the first angle I saw it on slow mo. I was like,
I thought you were talking about him like going on the sideline part, stepping out. I'm like,
no. I meant like when
I didn't see that
around the back of the end zone, the back of the end zone.
But you know, we'll see what happens there. But I mean, look, big guys made big plays yesterday for New York. Obviously, Isaiah Hodgkins has been. I mean, this guy's been
the man.
Get this guy
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Get this guy signed and extended and keep him as a weapon for Danny Dimes. Saquon stays. You know, again, Darius Slayton's got to come up with some balls. But you know what? Hey, Giants, they took one. And I like the attitude Daboll had after the game. He's like, yeah, we won. All right, next round. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was good. And people want, like, more out of him. He's like, what? Good's a great adjective to describe what he did, right? So he's like, they're being very professional, business-like, on and off the bus, took care of business, and now we're out.
Yeah, you got to handle well because Daboll knows, like, if we sit here and fucking pat ourselves on the back and talk ourselves how good we are, you know what's going to happen next week? We're going to go out and get our asses handed to us by the Philadelphia Eagles. So you know what? Hey, good job. Now we got to go on about the next game because the business ain't done. Business ain't done until we're all holding that trophy. That's how you handle it.
Right, exactly. You just go through your business. You don't worry about it. Don't pat yourself on the back. Coaches don't want to lose the room. And you know, right now they got the room and this team's playing really good.
Yeah, I like where the chances here for the Giants, just so much going for them versus Philly.
I think the end of the season is going to be a struggle. I know it's weird to me to say. I think both sides are kind of wide open, but for different reasons to me. The AFC is wide open because I think three really good teams. I don't give the Jags a whole lot of a chance to beat the Chiefs or even beat the Bills or Bengals if they somehow upset the Chiefs. But like it's open because you're like, well, these three teams are really freaking good. And then he did step out right there. It looks like
because you're ahead of me, so
I can't tell. Because I don't have it on. I had the volume all the way.
What do they call it?
Touchdown. They said he didn't step out. His heel was still in the air.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Shit.
It is in the air. Look at that.
Touchdown. Yeah, let's see if they can make the
extra point. God, this guy missed 4 straight extra points.
He missed another?
He just missed
Jim's ahead of us. That East Coast time got us. They're ahead of us.
There's no way.
4 extra points?
Hey, this guy might as well just ride the bus home, right? Like, hey, find some other kicker.
Oh, I said this when we first came on the air. I said this guy's not taking a plane home tonight.
Hey, give that guy a Southwest ticket to back to Dallas. Like, that's what he's flying, a Southwest Spirit Airlines or some shit.
You can't make this up.
If the game was closer, man, they would. I mean, you know what I mean? Like those should come back to haunt you. But
Gosh, right at the top of the post too. Come on.
Like, how do you miss it? Like, everybody's just like, how? How do you miss 4 kicks? At what point does Mike McCarthy decide to go for 2?
I just go for 2.
You're in warm weather. Like, come on.
Like, how do you miss? He is so cut at the end of this game.
Go for 2 every time.
No wind, nothing.
Like, how?
How do you miss it like that off the top of the post?
He's missed what, 4 extra points and a field goal?
No
right?
field goal.
No field goal.
Extra points.
Just 4 extra points.
Yeah, it should be 28-0.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying this game is over because after we saw what happened with the Chargers, you just never know.
It's not over yet.
It's not over yet. I mean, look, I agree, Nick. I think there's 3 teams in the AFC that you can confidently say could represent the AFC in the Super Bowl.
And I think on the NFC, it's like I feel like I don't trust any of these teams. Where it's like, so it's to me, it's wide open. Like I know a lot of people are high on the 49ers. I just feel like eventually Brock Purdy's inexperience has got to come into play. I know the kid is playing lights out, but he keeps proving me wrong week in and week out. But I just feel like eventually, right, it's going to catch up. Like other than that, that's the only question mark they have. And then the other teams still have some question marks. The Eagles are kind of banged up still. Injuries.
Hurts is coming off his injury. He didn't look great last week or last time, and now he's got a bye. So now he's, I don't know what that could do.
How good can they
momentum?
Be? The Cowboys. Who knows what happens in this game? I'm not high on the Bucks or other than I keep thinking that it's Tom Brady, but at the same time, my eyes tell me
he doesn't look. He ain't looking too good tonight.
Yeah.
He ain't looking hot.
But, I mean, like over in the AFC, right? Like the Jags had that historic comeback on Saturday. Trevor Lawrence undefeated still on Saturday. I had to look it up myself. I'm like,
I know, I'm ready. Let's go,
baby. Lost the game on Saturday?
Go back. He college player. All he did was play on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I guess they only lost in like title games, like which
exactly
would have been
and he missed a couple games where they would lose here and there. It's because of injuries or something. So he's remains undefeated on Saturday, but it's a different animal when you play the Chiefs.
Well, they're playing again Saturday. They're playing again Saturday, Tanner. You worried?
No. Well, kind of. I mean, look, it's a freaking playoffs. These teams come to play, and we had that bye week, and I'm always worried about. I love bye weeks, but I also love the, continued momentum of things on it. I think it might be one of those slow starts that the Chiefs like to do, and then after half they pull. They do what they do. But Doug Peterson's no slouch either. So
did he just fumble it? And the Cowboys got it. Somebody from the Bucks, they're saying they fumbled. They called it a fumble.
Godwin?
Yeah, but they played it like it was a fumble. There's flags everywhere.
It looks like a fumble.
Oh, yeah, it's a fumble.
Yeah, that looked like a fumble.
You got holding. No. Oh.
Tom Brady made a tackle? No, that was Jones. Never mind. Julio.
But
if the Bucks score, if Dallas does score here, I mean it'd be tough. 35-0 would be. Oh, Tom Brady first barely caught the ball.
You mean 30-0?
Yeah,
because we're gonna miss some extra points.
I don't know if he even caught the ball though. I don't know if Godwin ever really caught it. Did he catch this?
Did he make a football move? That's the important part.
This
looks like it. And then
I think Bowles is gonna challenge.
I think he's down. Looks like he might be down here, right? His ass is down. One ass equals 2 feet.
Yeah, he's down. He's down.
Yeah, but that ball, but if that ball was coming out, then
right. Yeah, I guess it depends on the other side of things too.
Yeah, can't tell really.
Right.
Oh, that ball was.
Is it incomplete pass?
I don't know. Right.
Dallas first down. Dallas first down. That's what he just said.
It's official. They're reviewing it right now.
Are they reviewing it again?
Yeah.
So the call on the field was a Dallas first down.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which that's smart. Like let it play out, and then you can always go back.
Yeah. That's what you got review for.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I think that's what you saw a lot this year in college with guys. They would just call targeting and then go review it and be like, "Oh, okay, it's not targeting. All right, pick the flag up."
Right. Jim, who do you have in the championship games? What's your prediction?
Um, I got. I know a lot of people are not a fan of this, but I've been flip flopping on this game, but I think we're gonna get a neutral site AFC title game. I think Kansas City, Buffalo in AFC title game. I think it's gonna happen. Buffalo's got to play a lot better than they did against Miami.
The Bengals do too, though. The Bengals,
the Bengals got to play better
do.
too because they should have lost against Baltimore if it wasn't for that. Whatever happened at the goal line.
Fumble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, but and then the end of the game though, the play calling by Harbaugh and the time management. Again, you get the first down and you lose precious seconds with 2 timeouts. Those timeouts are not carrying over into next season. So just burn it and get the plays you want. Especially in the red zone like that. I don't get it. Man. I like San Fran to go to the title game. I just like what they're doing. Christian McCaffrey, Debo, Brock Purdy, management game. As much as I would love to see the Giants there, I just don't know if it's going to happen. As much as I
think the Cowboys could beat the 49ers.
I think the Cowboys could, but I think the 49ers are playing at such a high level. And plus, we haven't seen this matchup in a long time, so it'd be great to see. I think originally I thought at the beginning of the year maybe when somebody asked me this early on, I said Philly Dallas in the championship game, which would be entertaining too. But
yeah, Dallas has the capability to essentially. They have an all-star level of being able to do something. It's just living up to that potential they struggle with.
Right, exactly.
To be consistent. Like this Dallas team, when we look at it, we've seen signs of 1 seed all over it. And then we've seen signs of 7 seeds all over it. So.
How about it'll be interesting, right? Because Mike McCarthy struggles with clock management, and so does Kyle Shanahan when they get up big. They've lost. He's been part of some big major blow leads. Obviously, the 28-3 in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. There's been a couple with the 49ers where he's
the
Super Bowl against the Chiefs. They had a lead and then they blew it. He's been part of some bad clock management. So it'll be interesting. Mike McCarthy versus Kyle Shanahan next week, possibly. If this game continues the way it's going, I don't really trust either coach. I definitely don't. I probably trust Mike less because I have, just a lot of feelings there. So it'll be interesting. I think the Cowboys could. It's weird because I feel like they could run the table and get to the Super Bowl, but I also feel like they could lose tonight in the 30, in a comeback game. That's just because that's how they play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Look. And then you go over the AFC, Burrow, what he's done in the playoffs, he can go into Buffalo and win that game. I think Cincinnati, but again, they have to play better. Buffalo's going to have to play a lot better. So, that's going to be a great game. And the game we didn't get to see because of unfortunate circumstances, Damar Hamlin, and glad he's better. So we'll finally get to see this game that we all expected to see on a Monday night.
And how about that? This game, had that game been played, Cincinnati wins that game. That game's being played in Cincinnati.
Right.
You know what I mean? If Cincinnati wins that Monday night game, which you don't know. They were winning that game. There's still a whole.
There was a whole game left
still to go.
Yeah. I'm just saying, but it's interesting. Cincinnati probably got to feel like, hey man, if we would have won that game, this game's being played in Cincinnati, and instead we got to go to Buffalo. Cincinnati, I feel like they got to feel, hey, we got everybody right where they want us. We have no offensive line, which we had no last year because all four of our 5 offensive linemen are hurt. And so we're playing a bunch of backups, which was the same guys they had last year when Joe Burrow was getting killed, and we still won. So we got the Bills right where we want them.
Yeah, and there's no Von Miller, so
no pass rush.
There's no pass rush, so
that's how
they
it rolls.
could survive. They could survive in Buffalo.
All right, Jim. Well, I know we're past our 30 minutes, so we appreciate you extending time and talking NFL with us and Knicks.
Hey, you know what? I had a blast tonight, guys. I mean, especially watching this game when the kicker's missing 4 extra points. I mean, you can't make this up, man.
He broke. Kenny Miller just texted me. Shout out. Said that
Mason
he broke.
Crosby?
He broke. No, Maurer broke the Cowboys franchise record for 50 plus field goals this year.
Yeah,
and has never missed more than any this year, and now he's missed 4 today.
Well, let's be real. He's not going anywhere, but he should.
Yeah. He shouldn't take the plane ride home with this team.
If Jimmy Johnson was their coach, he wouldn't have came out at halftime, and Jimmy would have told you that.
Oh, yeah, of course he wouldn't have. I would have pulled the Nick Saban. Yo, just find some guy that can kick. That's it.
Yes.
Oh, man. Awesome, Jim. Hey, we'll chat next week here as we may hopefully we'll talk some more Giants wins. So
hopefully that'd be nice. Get one more, go to the championship game. We'll see what happens. Got to believe, got to keep the faith. But guys, thanks for having me in here on a Monday night, as always, talking some football and some hockey.
Definitely. Always appreciate it. Thanks, Jim.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
See you, Jim.
See you, man.
Later, boys.
Jim Biringer, guys. All right, let's bring him on. Let's see how practice went. Now, Nick, prediction here. Do you think it was a good practice or a bad practice? What's your prediction?
He's kind of smiling before we bring him on, so I'm going to say it's a good practice.
I think it probably went well. I'd say. So let's bring him on. Jonathan Grishman, guys. Jonathan, what's up, dude?
How's it going, fellas?
Good. So how was it? How was tonight? Was it good?
It was up and down. We had some good moments at practice today, and then we had some immaturity kind of kicking a little bit. So again, kind of reminding them what we're practicing, what we're out in this, out in the January when we're not a lot of teams are doing what we're doing. Got to remind them what our goals are. So, but it was overall we had a good practice, good work. I think the girls got a lot of work in tonight, and some of my boys on the baseball side came out and got some work too with them.
Good. Hey, that's good to hear though. Like having those guys come out like that, voluntarily in a way. So
absolutely,
that's what it's about. That's how you grow a program. That's how you grow success.
Absolutely.
Love it, man.
Speaking of Jonathan, let's you're a former baseball player, professional baseball player. I got to ask you, if Carlos Correa leaves your team, he says, see you later, signs one deal to another team, signs another deal to another team, and then finally comes back to your team. As a teammate, are you welcoming him back with open arms, or what do you think the Twins, teammates of Carlos Correa on the Twins are feeling now that he is officially signed with the Twins and passed his third physical?
Yeah, they're opening him up. Again, they all know it's a business, and he wasn't getting $300 million from the Twins. Giants offered. Giants threw him the $300 million, and then he couldn't pass physical. Oh, hey, the Mets threw another $300 million, but couldn't pass the physical because they had the same doctor they consulted with.
That's what I was going to say too. How fucking how fucking dumb are the Mets? Like, how fucking when I read that, I was like, how fucking stupid are they? And I'm sorry I'm dropping F-bombs here because that's how dumb I thought they were. How are you going to go get the same doctor who wouldn't pass him the first time for the Giants? And you're like, you know what? We're going to sign him. Hey, we need a doctor. How about you go get the guy that just didn't pass him? What? Like, you think he did? If he didn't pass him the first time, he's going to pass him the second fucking time? I was like, are you serious? I couldn't believe that. Would you
Do they
not
lower their expectations or something, or what?
Yes, wouldn't logic say, hey, if this doctor's not going to pass him, we want him on our team, we should probably go get a different freaking doctor. Go get me a doctor in Mexico who barely passed his license so we can pass Carlos Correa's physical. No, we're going to get the same doctor. Guess what? His prognosis is going to still be the freaking same. It made absolutely no sense. Sorry I went on this rant real quick, but I mean, when I read that, I blew my freaking mind.
Yeah, Cohen didn't. Cohen's now realizing what it means to do a Met, and that was a Met thing to do.
That was a big Met.
And I don't think Steve Cohen's had anything like that in his life. He's had a boneheaded move like that, but that is a Mets thing to do, and I don't have an answer for that. I really don't.
I don't do somebody's got to ask him, right? Like, what were you thinking? Like, who makes that call? Like,
That one I don't know. I mean, I would assume it's the owner. It's the owner or the team president or general manager. Somebody in that office should have done due diligence to say, "Oh, he was a Giants doctor. Do we want to use him? Because we know he's not gonna pass him." Like, did Steve Cohen just didn't care? He's like, well, I'm going to sign him anyway. But then they got to him and said, no, you're not going to sign him because, we're not sure how long this leg's going to last. I really have no idea just what the Mets were doing. But to the original question, the Twins know this is a business. I mean, again, so the Twins players know he wasn't getting $300 million, and he didn't get $300 million from the Twins. So he got $200 million, exactly kind of what everybody was projecting him to get if he did go in the Twins' direction at the beginning. They were not going to offer $300 million. So there's no animosity. There's no, oh, you wanted to go sign with somebody else, and now we're the third option for you. No, they don't think that way. I mean, because again, everybody's trying to get the most money in their career, and they're trying to get that big contract. So they all know it's a business. There's nothing against the team itself. He came back to where they knew they were gonna sign him because they already did a physical for him when he signed last year. So he made the decision like, I can keep trying to go to these teams. They know the red flag now. They know the issue of what my leg is. Do I risk going to another team? Yeah, they're going to offer me probably 280, 285. Maybe I'll get a $300 million contract, but will that doctor sign off? Or I can go back to the Twins who know my leg. They signed off on me signing with them last year. They'll pass it again. They'll pass me because I know I'm not getting my 13-year contract anymore. So I'll go where it's comfortable. I'll go where I know I'm going to get signed, and I can get this mess as far behind me as possible.
You've been in that situation yourself where you've been told like doctors don't clear you, and then you've gone to is it like what makes that so different? Like one doctor reading something and the next doctor when it's really the same thing, because you've personally been in that situation.
Yeah. Well, the hard part for me is I was flagged for 2 different injuries. That was it didn't flag. Oh. So it was different for Correa. It was the same injury. I had my back injury that the Marlins flagged. I had my shoulder was what the Giants flagged. They didn't like because I've had shoulder surgery when I was a sophomore in college. So I had a lot of injuries that I knew it was a matter of time until someone just says, "Hey, this isn't going to last long for you." So, but it's a tough process. It's, because you're in my case, I was hoping, hey, maybe I get this opportunity. Maybe they every physical I did, because like I said, I had surgery in 2009 on my shoulder. Every physical I've done, I was in my head like, man, are they gonna flag me? Even in college, from college they do our physical and they looked at it and go, hey, you had shoulder surgery on this, because I had to make that note on it. So they do the range of motion test, they do the strength test, they try to see, and I'm like, I rehab pretty well, so hopefully there's there's setbacks of them thinking, oh, it's not right. Injured my back in 2011, and I go back to college to do my physical that way, and I'm like, hopefully they don't. I didn't actually. That one actually, I didn't tell my college that I hurt my back. So that one was a little bit nerve-wracking in itself. But again, the same thing. Everywhere I went, I didn't tell about my back. I just tried. I played through pain. I played through it, and I was just hoping that nobody would kind of catch on to it. Well, somebody caught on, and it got to the point where they just said, "Hey, we can't go down this road with you." So it's frustrating and it's nerve-wracking at the same time, especially. And I've never been in Correa's position where hundreds of millions of dollars on the line on a physical. So I can imagine what he's kind of going through as far as saying, man, I'm now losing $115 million here because of a physical that something happened on my leg that I had surgery on 9 years ago. I couldn't imagine just the emotions of what he's been dealing with over the last month or so.
Right. It wasn't in the report or something like that. The big deal was the second half of that Mets deal. It wasn't necessarily the first 6 years. It was the last 6 years. And where they did not trust it of, basically staying like it should the entire time.
And I said the same thing. When we talked about it, I was like, that's going to be the biggest question mark. And that's why these teams are flagging. If he was asking, he's asking for a 6-year deal like the Twins got, the Giants would have signed him. He would be a San Francisco Giant right now.
Yeah.
There would be no, there would be no questions right now. He would be a San Francisco Giant because he's wanting that 13 years. Well, that's a long time that you are committing to somebody who has a red flag on health. And go ahead.
Did the Giants or the Mets try to decrease those years in renegotiation, or was it like he was like, I want this deal or I'm out, or how did that break down?
I'm sure. I haven't seen a report about it, but I'm sure. If I'm, Correa's probably sitting there saying, guys, I'm fine. Like, this has been going on. Like, I've had this. I've been playing with it. My numbers are great. And,
Right.
so his mind, and I'm sure the agent's thinking, why should we take a decrease? He's played this for 9 years. He's one of the most talented shortstops in the game. But if you're the Mets and you're the Giants, you're just going to go, I get that. But this is talking about when he's 36, 37, 38, 39 years old, 40 years old, where he signed that with a surgically repaired leg. We're not comfortable going in that direction. So I'm sure they had a conversation that said, decrease the years, which ultimately will decrease the money, because you're not paying $300 million for a 6-year contract. So you're decrease the years, decrease the money, and we can continue conversation, which Correa's camp's going to go, no, we're not going to do that. They did it for the Twins just because they knew the market was starting to cool completely, with 2 teams now dropping their offer from him. At that point, it's no longer, the first one, what a coincidence. The Giants and the Giants got made fun of. There were jokes around Major League Baseball and media about it. Twice is not a coincidence now. So the Mets being the next team that red flagged it, I'm sure that set shockwaves about Carlos Correa. Like, hey, next team's not offering you 13 years or 10 years what you think you're going to get. You better take something that you're gonna be happy with. 5 or 6 years for $200 million. Nobody's crying for Correa with that contract still, though.
Teams, to me, even if you're signing a guy for 13 years at his age, like, you got to know going in, like, even if he passes the physical, I feel like those last 3 or 4 years, you're going to be lucky to even have the Albert Pujols type situation where it's like, we're probably going to end up cutting him or trading him or losing him the last 2 or 3 years because his numbers and his age aren't going to be matching up to what we're paying him.
Yeah, but you're in that instance, and why a lot of these teams are going to that, 10. We had a lot of 10-year, 11-year, 12-year contracts be handed out this offseason. Teams are thinking, I can get a percentage of that money back in revenue. Jersey sales are a percentage of that revenue back. The ticket sales of sellouts of coming to see the superstar player that we just signed. You're gonna increase the revenue, so you'll get that money back, and that's why these teams are sitting there go. We know the TV contracts are going to go all through the roof here pretty soon, so we know we'll get our money back at some point in some capacity. We can offer 10-year contract. We know the back end, the last 3-4 years are going to be awful because we're not getting the essence of the money of what it's worth for the player. But it doesn't matter because when he was in his prime, we got a good percentage of money for the first 4 years of his deal, where he's putting up big numbers, and we're getting good revenue out of that. So the teams are not necessarily worried. I'll say this: the owners are not worried about that part of it. The general manager, who's the one who's doing the negotiations and controlling hey, my job's on the line. If I screw this up, my job's on the line for this. The owner's like, well, hey, I'm making money because we have him. Yeah, we're paying him a lot. Oh, but our jersey sales for him are going to be sky high. Ticket sales are going to be sky high. They're going to put us on, MLB's made a phone call to us to say, hey, you're going to be on primetime games a little bit more this year because of who you just signed and what that does to your team. You're getting handed a lot of revenue in that aspect. So the owners are looking at it like, yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's a lot more money that's coming into our pockets later down the road for the next 4 years because of the revenue that we get from him.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Because, in the end, that's kind of what they're looking for within the first 3 years anyways. There's a bunch of revenue to come in. So, I got a question for you here. Okay. Let's say you're a horrible franchise, right? You're rebuilding, and you go through, sign your guys, whatever, because we had as an arbitration or whatever it was this past week, getting your signs right, and you let your young star pitcher who actually performed really well left unsigned. How does that help a franchise that looking to turn stuff around? Brady Sr., young guy, pretty fabulous pitcher actually in my eyes. He really fought those last couple of years and really turned out pretty hot end for him. Left unsigned. So does that mean he goes to basically the free agent squad base right now?
So arbitration eligible, correct? They didn't.
Correct.
They didn't agree to terms through arbitration, correct?
Not with him.
It means he'll go to arbitration. Then
so he's going to. So yeah, they're going to basically go to arbitration court. They'll turn in. He'll turn in what he thinks he's worth making. The team will turn in what they think he should be making, and usually arbitrator decides, hey, we'll I see your arguments. They're both valid. We'll cut it in the middle. Sometimes they'll go, the player is right in this case. We're going to side with the player, what he's worth. Sometimes they'll go, hey, we're going to go with the team in that case. So it just depends on the argument of what they believe, to the arbitrator, of what their value is to the team, what they view the market of the player, and what his role has been, what his stats have been, how good of a player he's been. They're going to throw all that argument out there. Max Fried was in arbitration last year. He's in arbitration again this year with the Braves, and he won his arbitration case against the Braves the year they won the World Series, because his argument was, well, hey, I was second in Cy Young. I was the pitcher who got the game clinching win in the World Series. I was so important on this World Series run. The Braves couldn't argue a lot of that, so the arbitrator sided with Max Fried more so than the Braves in that instance, and that was what his salary was going to be that next season. So,
is there Jonathan? Is there a guideline for that? Is there you said a judge, but first of all, how do you get appointed to that? Is it a real judge, somebody public?
Not necessarily a judge. Not in my understanding of it. Not necessarily a judge. It's just more of it's an independent arbitrator that's appointed to handle these cases through Major League Baseball. It's usually how it works.
How do I get appointed? How does me and Tanner get appointed to do that? And is there a guideline, right? Hey, I know it kind of goes by the highest paid player, right? Is it good by the highest paid player at his position, correct? Is that right? Is that what I've read? And then they kind of go from there, and the stats based on that. Is that how that is?
In a way, yes. I think the best way, let me put it this: the best comparison to being arbitration, to being arbitration eligible and going through the arbitration process is similar to the restricted free agents of NFL. Or the franchise tag. Essentially, think about the franchise tag. They take the top 5 salaries of the NFL players per position, and they average it out to what you're going to be if you're on the franchise tag. The same thing with arbitration eligible. You have the top guys of your position. They compare the top guy to you, and they say, hey, I'm a top 8 pitcher. My stats validate that. I was 9th in All-Star voting. I didn't make it to the All-Star game, but I was 9th in All-Star voting. I was number 8 in overall statistics. So I deserve. Because it's how things are in the business world of the sports of baseball. I want to be paid top 5 though. I'm top 8. I have good stats. My improvements are getting there. I should be a top 5 pitcher in the next 2 years, next year or two. So I want to be paid like a top 5. Well, the team I play for will say, we think you're top 10. We'll pay you as a top 10 pitcher. And they hash out the argument as far as saying, okay, well, from the scale of the top guy to where you are, what you think your money is going to be, to what the team thinks, we're going to either side with the team, with you, or more so in between the middle from there. So not necessarily a typical guidelines that are followed, and I'm sure there probably is that we just don't know as far as fans wise, but that how they go about the process of it. They'll tell us about the standard process of how the arbitration occurs, but there's a almost like a blueprint of what they go through and how they come up with the numbers, how the averages equal out to what is, and what particular they arguing for and against by both sides.
Gotcha. So in the hearing, essentially, both sides will propose basically their values for it, and then the hearing essentially determines what that's going to be for this next year.
Correct. So they still have time to. They still had time going into. I guess it was. I don't know. I think today was the deadline. I think what it was, but they had time to still say, hey, here's your proposal. Here's my proposal. Let's hash it out. Let's try to figure out the common ground here. If they go to the case to be heard by the arbitrator, yes, then they basically they're looking at all the sheets from both sides. That they submit a proposal. Both sides submit a proposal. The agent, and it's usually just the agent. The player's not even there. The agent's the one who handles it. The lawyers handle it. They turn in the paperwork to the arbitrator. The team turns theirs into the arbitrator, and a specific timeline is given for the arbitrator to make a decision. It's not usually right then and there. It'll be a few days, a week or so, because there's so many. I mean, there's a handful of cases he's got to handle in Major League Baseball, to be able to go through that process. So it usually takes a few days to a week, maybe, that they'll say, okay, we're siding with so-and-so, or we're siding with this team, and that's what your salary is going to be made, and the submission is going to the MLB from there.
Gotcha. Yeah, it looks like they can agree anytime, including a multi-year deal before the hearing.
Correct.
Before it reaches arbitration, does that benefit the team or the player or both if they don't go to arbitration, if they get a deal done before arbitration?
It depends on what your goal is. If your goal is, hey, we like you, we want to plan. The plan is to sign you long term, and you're almost trying to get it done where if you can make an agreement prior to going to arbitration, you're establishing a good relationship as an arbitration eligible player with the front office. If you go to the hearing, it can lead to some animosity. There has been cases throughout the time that we've had this with the way arbitration is done, where the player does not like being in that situation, does not like being in that position, and at the same time, what the offer by the team was, how much of a low ball offer could it be, or the submission of, if that's another part of it, is if the team doesn't value the same and say, hey, we actually think let's go back to the example, if I'm a top 8 pitcher, well, hey, we're gonna pay you top 15, not top 10, not top 8, not top 5. We're gonna pay you top 15. I'm gonna be like, you don't value me very much at all. So exactly. it makes me very reluctant to want to sign long term later on once my arbitration years are done, because more likely, unless you blow me away with an offer, I'm probably not signing long term now, because I just realized what you value me as. And so when I'll go through the arbitration years. And we're going to continue arguing this out, and we'll never agree. We'll continue going to court, we'll continue going to hearing, and we'll continue getting the ruling from there. And then when my time is up for arbitration, I get to be a free agent. I'm gone. I'm more likely gone at that point if that's the case that happens. So it just depends on what both sides think of each other and what they think of the other person and the other the front office, and how they view each other, and how they value each other. If there's a high value that's equal to each other, a good relationship is made, and more likely you'll get a long-term agreement at some point down the future. If, like I said, if there's a low ball offer at some point, the player's going to be very reluctant later on to want to sign long-term.
Yeah, I know you don't have a list in front of you, but anything that you can think off the top of your head, any free agents out there that could benefit this Royals team? Because right now, you got 13 players under contract for 2023. With a projected payroll of $80 million. So
Trevor Bauer,
we can
get Trevor Bauer and his freaky deaky sex world.
I'd take a Trevor Bauer.
I wanted the Cubs to get him, but I don't think the Cubs want that PR mess right off the bat. So he probably needs to go to a team like the Royals. Actually,
it'll be interesting to see what you're talking about. Trevor Bauer. That's going to be very interesting to see what happens. You're probably going to see. There's going to be some heavy moves here in the next couple of weeks, because spring training is around the corner here. We're getting closer and closer, and I think because spring training does move up a little bit because of the World Baseball Classic taking place, so it's going to be moved up a little bit. So you'll see you'll see some teams particularly kind of reaching out to those guys who are unsigned and say, hey, look, you want to get in camp? We're going to offer you something here with the major league invite. Off the top of my head, I'd have to see a little bit more what the Royals have to be able to give you an idea of what they need. I haven't seen their roster in recent times, so I couldn't say, hey, they need this
Everything.
position. That.
Jonathan, they need everything.
It's everything.
My question, Tanner, how are they going to roll out this that team and try to build a new stadium? Like, I don't understand. Usually, you win
away.
You get a new stadium. You know what I mean? Or you're building a culture to win here, and now they don't have a team that's going to be, anything for a while.
Yeah, that's something, we discussed on the Buffoons too, was like, you got to first put together a projected winning team, right? But if you look at it too, for revenue of sales and like all that stadium profits into play, downtown stadiums rule a lot of places, that especially newer stadiums in downtown.
Well, all the bars,
it doesn't matter what the teams are like. Yeah. And they want to build their own entertainment district with it, right? So it's not just going to Power and Light downtown and then building around that. They want their own entertainment district to be around that. They don't necessarily want to extend onto something. They want their own. He wants to do it like as a big deal, like kind of like St. Louis in a way. For that. So,
but you can't really do that downtown though. If you want to build an entire atmosphere of entertainment, you can't necessarily do that downtown because everything's already set place unless you form partnerships with the bars and everything that's already there. Well, the Braves did it. There was a lot of backlash about the Braves and how they built their new stadium. You're talking about with a winning team. They weren't a winning team.
They weren't a winning team either.
They were in a rebuild. They were in a rebuild at the time when that stadium was being built, and when it opened, and they just so happened to be on this run of 4 or 5 straight division titles now. In the process of that new stadium opening up. But that when they announced the plans of Truist Park, and at the time it was SunTrust Park, it wasn't. They weren't winning. They were in a rebuild at that point. But they built. Again, there was a lot of backlash of taking Braves from downtown Atlanta to the suburbs of Cobb County. Now, I don't know the area of Kansas City downtown as well, but I can almost. Tell me if I'm wrong. It's not as bad as Atlanta downtown. It's
if you're looking at like crime rate, yeah, it's I think it's top 5 in the nation. So
Kansas City or Atlanta?
Kansas City. I think both of us are.
I didn't know that actually. So
yeah, it's rough, but like it's not like they're building so much with downtown right now too. Like they're redoing different parts and building upon it, so making it more of an entertainment area than it has the last 5-10 years.
Yeah, I mean it's been over a decade since I've been in Kansas City, so I couldn't tell you much.
Things have changed. You get lost.
I went down there for we did a college trip. We played. We took a little a day trip to Kansas City on a road trip going to Kansas. So that was the last time I've ever been to Kansas City at that point. But in essence of what they're trying to, I'm sure. They're putting a lot of hope to get this stadium built to where the revenue can increase. They can increase the payroll, but you got to. And this is the part that gets that hurts the team and it hurts the fans. In order for you to be successful in the process of increasing revenue with the new stadium, you have to cut payroll. You have to cut down. That's kind of what they did. That's what the Braves did. The Braves cut payroll. At the time of what they were doing, they were just signing Nick Markakis off to small contracts. They were trading some pieces here and there. They were just doing what they could to keep the rebuild going, and then build a new stadium and then move into there. Texas Rangers did the same thing with their new stadium. They cut payroll completely in half, and built a new stadium. And then you have Texas Live, the entertainment area of what they're doing out there, and they're making money now. And they're like, okay, let's go spend money now. So in order for you to benefit in the essence of a new stadium, you have to cut payroll. You have to, and this is going to break your heart, Tanner. You got to suck for a couple of years.
Well, we're already in that mode, so and they're not new here.
So you got a head start on that part of it. Now they're just cutting the payroll a little bit more to say, all right, we as owners can make a little bit more money. When we move into the new stadium, we will make money, and then we can have the opportunity to spend some money. Yeah. And then at that point, you can build a contender from that.
I think too with this Royals team coming up too, there was a different direction in a spin from the owner, being John Sherman so new to the Royals as it is, getting rid of guys that have fed off the success of 2014, 2015. Dayton Moore is gone. They fired 3 or 4 coaches that were assistants that have fed off the success of 14 and 15. You could put them back at 13, 12, 13, right, in 2000s. But I think that's the huge thing. It's like they're trying to show, hey, we're going to turn this thing around, but we also want to make it a whole new experience. Like, we want to do a bunch of stuff at once. And I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty sure 90% of Royals fans just want to see another winning product on the field.
So let me ask y'all both this, because both y'all's teams won the World Series.
Yeah.
Let's say in the last decade. Does it bother y'all that my Braves won a World Series and they were able to just completely undercut the market by signing their young guys to very team-friendly deals?
That's what the Cubs, I think, wanted to do, but but guys like Javi Baez, Anthony Rizzo, Wilson Contreras, they didn't take those type of deals, and I think the Cubs really wanted them to. And so then they're all playing for different teams. So that part, it doesn't bother me to an extent, but it does. It bothers me that they would lowball these guys at the same time, but at the same, like, I'm all about people getting money. Like, hey, those guys need to get paid. Mm-hmm. What they did for the Chicago and that franchise, all those guys deserve to get paid. Anthony Rizzo deserved to get the bank. I felt like he was the one guy that should have never left Chicago. They should have made sure. Wilson Contreras probably right there as well. I always kind of thought Chris Bryant was never going to be a long-term situation because of who his agent was. So I knew that he was going to be gone no matter what. But, I mean, a couple of these guys, that part does bother me. But at the same time, like, who's to blame? Like, those guys wanted to take team-friendly deals, obviously, right? Like, they wanted to stay in Atlanta. I think part of that is some of our guys, we won the World Series, they valued themselves a little bit more, right? Because you guys hadn't won a World Series when you're making these contracts. We had won a World Series, and we're making these contracts. Anthony Rizzo did take a team-friendly deal originally, and then wins the World Series and was like, I ain't taking no team-friendly deal like I did last time. Y'all need to back pay me, really, which he was 100% right.
Well, it's interesting because you are right about that. I mean, the Braves signed Ronald Acuna 3 years prior to winning the World Series. Yeah. Ozzie Albies the same year. They signed their long-term contracts 3 years prior to winning the World Series. You got these young guys now, and Michael Harris signing their deal in the rookie season. Spencer Strider signing their deal in the rookie season. Riley's the only one really on that is part of the core that's been part of the process, the team before the World Series, and he's now on the team past the World Series, and he still signed a relatively team-friendly deal, 10-year, $210 or $220 million contract, which if he waited out another year or two, by the time his arbitration years are done, you talk about maybe another $300 million contract from him because he was putting up numbers left and right that's comparable to the top 5 third basemen in baseball. So, I mean, it's definitely it was intriguing because I feel like what you could have gotten out of Chicago or even in Kansas City, because Kansas City had they had young guys. It was not really an older team that won a World Series. They had a lot of young players at that time that were hitting their prime, that if you found a way to lock those guys up, I don't think anybody expected the Royals to be in the World Series that year. That's probably what's kind of surprising.
Especially back to back, right?
Right. So, I mean, if you find a way,
probably could have won back to back, but there was this guy named Madison Bumgarner for the Giants that just, was on an elite level. Yeah.
But if you found a way to sign those guys, and know that, hey, we're going to build the core around them. I mean, who's to say? I mean, I think Rizzo for the Cubs, if they were able to make the moves to get the commitments out of Contreras long term, more so, and Contreras did stay for a while, but you get an 8-year contract out of Contreras at the time of the World Series. You get a contract with Baez. You get a contract with Bryant. I think Rizzo would have probably taken a team-friendly deal to stay at that point because he was a fan favorite. He loved the city. He loved the team. So it's a matter of convince. It's a matter of showing the front office to the team itself. Hey, we're committing a lot of resources to build this team. You know, if y'all want to be here, like the famous thing that Chipper Jones said to Freddie Freeman, you want to be an Atlanta Brave, you show that you want to be an Atlanta Brave, and you stay with the money that you stay with what they offer you. That's what Chipper did. I mean, Freddie didn't. Ronald so far.
The difference to me between the Royals and the Cubs is Royals small market team. Probably, so you knew kind of like, hey, they're not going to spend as much, right? Like that's just what they're notorious for. The Cubs were the freaking Chicago Cubs, and I am not going to try to get on this rant. I've gone on it before with you guys.
We've heard it.
Yeah. So like, we're the Chicago. There's three really teams in. You know what I mean? I was just on the show with my guys last night. We're OnlyFans podcast.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about baseball last. Yeah. And we were talking about the Yankees. Like the Yankees are like the number one marketable team in baseball. Red Sox. The Chicago Cubs are right freaking there. We're like the number 3, number 2 recognizable team in all of the world. The whole world. And yet we don't spend like we are. So there's that. So I'm not gonna get on my soapbox again. So I think you were trying to push me there.
Well, it's always fun to push you, but I don't actually think I'm not like upset by you guys, you know, signing your young guys, because I feel like the core
that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, here's the thing: the core we had, you know, had a great 13, 14, 15 run. They might have gone a couple more years. I don't think they would have gone very far at all, just because we did bring in. We went out and got trades. We used a lot of resources to get that extra boost in for 14 and for 15. And I felt like maybe our resources were out. And also, I feel like your talent was a whole way better talent than what we had in 14 and 15 to be able to keep those guys. Hosmer, you never really turned out to be the all-star, you know, the big guy. Like he probably would have prospered in KC, but you're looking at a KC superstar versus going to the, you know, when he went to the Padres. You know, he had 3 good years, maybe 2 good years there. Moustakas, right?
But he wasn't the same after he left. He was not the same. I agree with that, because I think now that you mentioned that, as I'm trying to think of the Royals at that time, you had a lot of guys who were in their late 20s.
Yeah, it was late 20s, like on their high of the prime, right? And you know, guys, you know, our bullpen was starting to get up there as well. They all came together again and got blown up about 3 years ago. So.
We had Wade Davis for a year.
Wade Davis, right? Yeah.
Comparing to the signings we have in Atlanta, where you sign Acuna when he was 21, 22, I guess he was 22 years old when he signed his big contract.
We never had an Acuna. I can tell you that.
But I'm just saying the age-wise, where your guys were in like their late 20s, you know, Acuna
27, 28.
Acuna signed with 22. Ozzie signed at 22. Strider's 20. I think he's 22, 23 years old. He signed his deal. Harris is 21 years old, 22, 21, 22. You know, the older guys, the 28-year-olds, Freeman and Dansby, they didn't get signed. So and then, you know, you did sign 128, who's I guess Freeman was almost 30 years old, I guess now, where Olson's 28 now when you signed him. Sean Murphy, who we just traded for and signed to a 6-year deal or 7-year, he's 28. So those are the two guys that you took. A 30-year-old Freddie Freeman, you got in Matt Olson, who's 28. You got Dansby, who's 28. You're replacing with Vaughn Grissom as of right now, who's the 21-year-old. And you have Travis d'Arnaud, who's a 33-year-old catcher, he's still there. You're bringing in to be a number 1 catcher in Sean Murphy, who's 28. So you have a couple of the olders, but the majority of that team the Braves have now are still in their young 20s. Yeah, and that's what's scary about the Braves or anything, is you get they're young to mid 20s still right now after winning the division 4 or 5 straight times now.
Yeah, and you got obviously a lot of still of your I guess you could say your farm team, right? They're still out there too developing. You didn't really have to give up any of those resources. So
well, depends. The pitchers we still have a lot of pitching. We have very little position players in our farm right now. And that, the highest ranked out of the top 50, the highest ranked position player in the Brave system is number 16. So it's all pitchers, and then number 16 is a single A kid, I think, right now. And then the next one's like 22 on the list as well. And then it's all pitchers and catchers at that point again as well. So the farm is taking a hit. But again, if you have guys who are 22, 23 years old, 24, 25, and they're all position players who are those, and they sign all the position players besides, everybody's on long-term deals in the position player besides shortstop and left field. 7 position players are signed, the next 7 to 10 years. So yeah, you can part ways with position players in the farm system because they're not going to get called up right now. So you can make this trade and you build your pitching and you go from there with it. And if you have somebody you want to trade, you have some pitching that you want to unload, like they did. They traded Kyle Muller to get Sean Murphy. So be it.
I got one last question for you. How are these teams like? Because like the Cubs, right? When we went in 16 and 7, we traded a lot of our prospects. And 16, like, hey, I'll give every prospect we had because we got the World Series. The one I didn't like was when we traded Eloy in 17. So how do teams like the Dodgers, it seems like they seem to continue to retool and trade prospects every year, their top prospects, but then just find these other top prospects again and just replace a guy who just left or they traded. Like, how are these teams doing it? How are they doing it? Like, I don't understand like how they can trade their top prospects and then just find new prospects. The Padres have been able to do that.
Dodgers
don't make many trades though. That's the difference. They don't make many big.
They just sign. They just sign those big guys.
So you're not parting ways with those prospects as often. They don't make a big trade because they don't really need to. I mean, again, they go get those guys. They go sign Mookie Betts. They go sign Freddie Freeman. They go sign. They did trade for Scherzer and Trey Turner. That was probably the big trade they've made over the last few years. And they did trade a couple of big time prospects that were part of that deal, but you can, if your farm is still heavy, and their farm was heavy at that time, and you're still signing guys, and you have the money to go sign them, well, you're not costing you anything. You're not costing you prospects at that point. So you're still floated on your farm system. So if there's 1 or 2 pieces to your roster that you need to add by midseason, well, your system is still loaded up. And for the Dodgers, they develop talent very well. Their farm system, as far as coaching wise, is one of the best in the league. So, I mean, they're able to take prospects and turn them from a coal to a diamond, and they turn into Max Muncy. They turn into not Max Muncy. Who I'm thinking of? Because I know Max was traded, I think, to Dodgers at one point. There's somebody else I'm thinking off the top of my head. Gavin Lux, who's in their farm system, and he's still kind of figuring out in big leagues, but he's had high moments in the big leagues, but he was killing it in the minor leagues for a long time that he was there. So they develop talent very well, but they don't trade very often. Like I said, Scherzer and Turner was the big trade they made in recent years. But off the top of my head, and I could be wrong, and I have to go back and research on this, I don't think they've made very many big move trades like that, where they're giving up top prospects in those deals every single time.
Yeah, no, I don't think they have either. Like, whereas we're speaking about it, it's been a lot of just big signings.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. I mean, spring training is right around the corner. I'm super excited for it on getting that started here so we can see, who's out there, who's connecting, who's not. First game started at the end of February, so for spring training. So excited to get that going here. But yeah, Jonathan, man, we're going to let you go. Appreciate you hopping on here after practice, of course, talking a little baseball with us. Excited to really kick that off again here in about a month. So.
Oh yeah. MLB season starting up here soon. College baseball going up. I love college baseball. My LSU Tigers, they're number 1 preseason ranking right now. So and that's a team. You talk about a loaded college team. That's a loaded college baseball team right now. So I don't know how much y'all looked into college baseball yet, but LSU Tigers, they're going to be they're back. They're maybe not gorilla ball from the '90s, but they're going to be putting up some heavy offensive numbers this year. It's going to be fun to watch down in Baton Rouge.
They're coming at it. Is what you're saying? Like it's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
happen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. I think I'm more of a college baseball guy when it comes to the big series, right? College World Series.
If you get a chance, you got to go to Alex Box in Baton Rouge. There is no baseball atmosphere in college baseball than the box in Alex Box Stadium. It's the biggest stadium in college baseball. You're getting 12,000 to almost 15,000 people come out to watch them play. I mean, the mystique and the atmosphere is second to none. All of the on the SEC is awesome to go down. I mean, Ole Miss is tradition. I don't know if y'all seen Ole Miss's baseball tradition when they do home run when they hit a home run.
Yeah. Yes, I have.
They throw the beer out. I mean, college baseball down in the SEC is so much fun. But I mean, if y'all get a chance, I highly recommend go watch a game at Alex Box Stadium. It is a great atmosphere. I grew up in old Alex Box Stadium before the new one was built, and that was fun just to be part of. But you get a chance to really get a good feel of college baseball if you go to Baton Rouge down there.
Huh. I'll have to add that to the list here whenever I get a chance to travel. Be able to do that. So awesome, man. We'll let you go. We'll talk next Monday. All right.
Sounds good, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Nice,
Appreciate
Jonathan.
it. Jonathan Grishman, guys. Well, it looks like this game it's pretty much done, I'd say.
It's over.
I don't think Brady's coming back on this one, on this miracle. So
no, they just gave the ball up on fourth down. Let me ask you this before we get out of here. Is this Tom Brady's last game of his career or last game as a Buck?
Last game was a Buck.
Where do you think? And
I'm still going with Vegas for him. I think that's where he ends up. That's been my predictions.
I think so. I think a return to Tampa could be possible too.
Yeah. Look, it's still very. I think you're looking at if he's coming back, right? Either way, we all know this. So he's either gonna go to Tampa or he's gonna go elsewhere. And I don't think 49ers are the answer. They have the weapons, but the offense isn't made around Brady. It's not gonna happen. So I think you got to go either with McDaniels over there in Las Vegas, or stay in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Plain and simple on that. I don't feel like it's a hard one.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's kind of my theory for it. But I don't think we're seeing the last of Mr. Brady yet. Not yet. I think we're getting close, a lot closer now. But I think we'll see him next year.
Just where.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll be fun to speculate on that too during the offseason. So, but yeah, it looks like Dallas here, 31-6, 4 minutes left, is going to go ahead and take this to the 49ers next week. See what happens there. It should be a fun matchup to watch. I believe that game is Sunday, a Sunday day game. 49ers with Dallas.
Yeah.
So next, wildcard weekend, guys, right? Saturday, we have the Chiefs and the Jaguars at
divisional round. You said wild card. It's divisional round.
Divisional round. Sorry, that's what I meant. 3:30, Chiefs Jags on Saturday, Central. After that, the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants play Saturday night, and then you got the Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers during the day, and then the Bills Bengals. No, wait, other way around. Sorry, other way around. Bills Bengals are your day game. The San Francisco and Dallas game is your night game on Sunday.
6:30, right?
Yep. About 6:30, somewhere in that 6:37 range for this 49ers Dallas game. So, look, great football's ahead of us here. Obviously, a lot more drama can come into play. The Chiefs don't have that bye. We've seen the Jaguars do what they do. There's a big worry. I mean, there should be a little bit of a worry because Doug Peterson has that team going and that team fighting. Despite the turnovers they provided last week, they're still killing it. So I'm loving what I'm seeing this Jags team. It makes me kind of worried going off in a bye week, trying to get that rust back off. So it'll be, I think it's a fun matchup either way.
Yeah, I think I would favor the Chiefs by a pretty wide margin, but I mean, you just never know. I mean,
don't.
what we just saw, who thought the Jags would be here at the beginning of the year? You know what I mean? So,
especially after the collapse at the Eagles,
could be the Bengals of last year, right? Like, I mean,
they could. There's nothing saying they can't.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's so much to tell here. Exciting weekend ahead of us. So, Nick, real quick here, what do you got coming up here? Anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, Thursday. Hey, first of all, shout out Dan Harris. Happy birthday.
Dan, happy birthday.
Of Let's Talk Sports and who's put all these things together for us. So shout out to Dan first. And then Thursday, we're going to be doing a little divisional round preview. It'll be me, John, and Craig. We're probably going to get some guests, talk of the NFL division, talk a little UFC 284, I believe, this Saturday. So the UFC pay-per-view is back. So we'll talk a little bit of that as well. And some other news going out in the sports world on Thursday, about 8:30 Central Time Zone.
I like it. Sounds like a fun week there. My schedule's kind of booked here. Looks like I'm going on with Scott's show tomorrow night at 6 Central. Catch us on Let's Talk Sports. Wednesday, the Buffoons, of course, 8:30 there. Thursday, the Whiskey Sports Podcast. Guest still to be confirmed, but I'm hoping I got my guy. We'll see what happens. Saturday, Sunday, game day shows in the morning, hopefully. So we'll get those going, and excited for the week here before we return back Monday night.
Yeah, and next weekend, next time we talk on Monday, we'll know who's playing in these championship games as the football season is winding down. Just
it's to break that down. So
right.
I'm excited. Lots to go on. So everybody have a fabulous week. Be safe. Enjoy football. We'll catch you guys next week. See you guys.
See ya.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Buffoons and Bakken Show. Make sure you hit that bell, subscribe, and follow for more content. Swing over to the Bakken Show, subscribe and follow for him. And then also swing over to Let's Talk Sports Network and go subscribe to him because it's phenomenal for what he does. And there's a lot more to come on that channel between us as well. So make sure you guys do that. Thank you